Hello, my fellow YouTubers. It is Alpha Tech Reviews here, and I'm just going to be doing a quick little review on this Logitech G502 mouse. It's been requested by a couple people so far, and I really wanted to make a review in the first place, and now I have a reason to do so. So let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about is the shape. So right as you put your hand on it, everything fits right into place. It's extremely ergonomic, very comfortable, and a big factor of that is this thumb rest here. As you can see, it protrudes out quite a bit, which is great because it cradles your thumb right in between the buttons and the thumb rest itself. And the second thing that helps with the ergonomics, I would say, is other than the overall general shape of the mouse, I guess, are these rubber grips on the side. They're not too sticky, but they're not so hard that they're slippery. So it's a wonderful kind of mix of the two. And as you can see, thumb and pinky, I can lift up the mouse fine without clicking any buttons. And another thing on the ergonomics is, even though I have quite a big hand for, I'm 14, I don't know if I want to say that in video, but who cares? Okay, I'm 14 years old. My hand from top to bottom is almost 8.5 inches. So that's basically a full inch bigger than the average male hand. And I can easily, there's no issue for me holding this mouse. I hold it like this. I play like this. Sometimes I'll bring my fingers up, which will be even less of an issue, I guess, even if there were to be an issue, because I'd be taking up less space. And this another thing that's great is, even if you don't have, say you have slightly smaller hands and your fingers are over here, it clicks equally as easily up here, I'd say halfway through the mouse to the end of the mouse. So that's a great feature by Logitech. So this mouse is great for all hand sizes. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the buttons. So basically, as you can see here, let's just focus in. Hopefully I'm not blocking too much light. Okay, there we go. There's 3 buttons. Here, this one would probably be your main go-to button. In an emergency, you would just kind of spam that. This guy up here, probably another common one to use. This one is slightly less common, but maybe you use it every once in a while. So there's 3 on the side so far. Here, there are 2 buttons right next to the left click, and these are probably more of not something you'd really spam, just a little thing you'd click once or twice because they're next to the left click. So say it's like, I don't know, like a grenade. You click this right really quick, and then you can put your hand right back on the left click to be ready, which is this is a very nice button placement by Logitech. And then there's one last kind of macro button right here. This one would probably not be something that you would use in game very often at all, because you would have to reach your hand back. But I find it great for a profile switching. So see, these are all my 3 profiles. And yeah, so I use this for profile switching. It's really useful switching between a game. I have 3 main profiles and 3 games I play the most. I just have to click it once or twice to get to the next profile. Great feature. Now let's talk about the scroll wheel. Highly debated topic. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. I personally really like it a lot. So basically, it's metallic. So I think it's made of metal. It's metallic looking, but it's heavy, and there's quite a big click thud every time you do it. I find this really useful. I find the tactileness of it to be really good. You can really differentiate each click, and I do not see why people say their fingers slip. The only way I could see your finger slipping is if you're like barely touching it lightly. But otherwise, it's extremely easy. You just flick it, and it'll respond to your finger pretty easily. Let me move on to the next feature of the scroll wheel, which is the free spinning mode, which this button controls. Right above this profile switching macro that I have, you click this, and then the scroll wheel kind of unlocks, so to speak, and you can spin it freely as much as you'd like. And this is extremely useful for manuals, spreadsheets, and other things of that sort, in which you need to go up and down very quickly. Last feature of the scroll wheel would probably be is the left and right scroll, which are not as useful in my opinion, but I didn't find them to hinder the functionality of the scroll itself. And I guess that's not the very last feature. There's also the scroll click, but that's pretty standard for most mice at this point in time. So yeah, that's about it for I guess the buttons of the mouse, of course, there's right and left click, but there's not much to talk about that because pretty much every mouse has a right and left click, except for Mac mouses, but they're special. Anyways, so let's now talk about the sensor. So it's an optical sensor, which Logitech claims to have zero acceleration. I don't know if it's true, but I haven't noticed any acceleration. I used to use a laser mouse. I didn't know what they meant by acceleration, but now that I've used this, I can definitely see what they mean by that. Now, it feels a lot more responsive to my actual movement rather than when I tried using the other one again, I could see that the mouse would just, if I moved it, kept on moving it at a certain rate, it would just zoom past kind of, or really fast in either direction the more I moved it. So this is extremely good for gaming because now you don't have to kind of adjust yourself to the acceleration. You can kind of, with muscle memory, you can now do everything more easily. And so that's probably about it for this little plastic part of the mouse here, which is basically the whole thing. And I'll talk about the lights when I go over the software. But one last thing is this cable. It is a braided black cable. It's very smooth and it's extremely durable. But this is my first complaint on this mouse. It's a bit too heavy, so it drags along the back of my desk. It hits all of the other cables. It can be quite a pain at times. So if you can get a cable anchor, I would highly suggest that. I don't have one myself, but it'll make the mouse seem a lot lighter and you can move it a lot more freely, and it's a great idea for anybody who is wishing to uh, be able to have better gaming usage or just general, I don't know, better usage of the mouse. So that's about it for, I know this is like the third time I've said it, but that's really it for the mouse physical features. Now I'm going to move on to the software review. Alright guys, I'll see you then. Alright guys, let me get right into the software. So the first thing of any gaming mouse software would be the button programming. So here you can change the function of every single button except for scroll up and scroll down, but I don't understand why anyone would want to change those, but I don't know. If you really do, then I guess you can't do it here, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue at all because everything else is extremely customizable. All you have to do is click the arrow next to a button, edit, and you can enter a keystroke, a multi-key macro, which would essentially let you type in a lot of keys at once or a lot of commands at once, and it will execute them. So if I do start recording, type in a bunch of keys, stop recording, every time I hit this button, it'll type every single one of these keys in any situation. And if you do record delays, it'll basically include the time in between each key that I clicked in this macro. But that's probably not a very common feature used unless I don't really know when you would use that, but I guess that's it. I'm not gonna have this be a spammy click button, but I'm just gonna leave it on one. But yeah, that's about it for the buttons programming. There are 3 profiles in which you can change each button that are on board the mouse. So I have profile 1, I've done this, profile 2, I've done this, profile 3, I haven't really changed anything. But yeah, for all of them, I have it set at 4000 dpi. I like that the most because I have one 1440p 27-inch monitor, and to the right I have a 24-inch 1080p monitor. So I kind of need a little bit of higher DPI to switch between them efficiently, and in games all I need to do is turn down the sensitivity to get an appropriate level, because 4000 DPI at regular sensitivity in a game is just way too high. So yeah, this mouse, as you can see, will go from 200 to 12,000, and it'll do so in 50-degree increments. You can set up to 5 profiles of 5 DPI levels profiles, so you can change them to wherever you like, and you could switch between them. You could select a button on your mouse to switch between them, but I only want one for myself. Anyways, so the last thing probably for this page would be the polling rate, which is how many times the mouse sends a signal to your computer that it's being moved. So I have it set on 1000. I wouldn't recommend changing it unless your computer doesn't support 1000 and you can only have 150 or 250 max. I'm not sure of a modern computer having it capped at 125, but I don't know. I have no clue. That's a very kind of minute detail. So let me move on to the lighting. So I said I was going to talk about this in the software, and here we are. Basically, my settings are full brightness and about a halfway breathing effect. What you can do is you can turn off the breathing effect, have it be on a still light. You can change the brightness. I like it full all the way brightness, and you can change the frequency of the breathing. So if you put it all the way up here, it'll kind of go crazy flashing. Put it all the way down, it'll be extremely slow breathing. So I like it somewhere in between, like exactly in between, because I'm OCD about that thing. So I'm pretty sure it's 40 clicks. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 right in the middle. And yeah, it's kind of a perfect balance of the super slow and the crazy flashing. And I like this mode. So let's move on to the surface tuning. And I have it tuned to my mouse pad already. I can retune it and show you guys what this is like. Basically, the mouse will move slightly different. It'll feel slightly different on different surfaces. So you can like best optimize it for the surface you're using by doing this. So what you do, just I suggest you put the mouse in the middle of your mouse pad, hold down left click, follow the motion it shows, which is a figure 8, and do it in the speed range that it shows. Then once it's done, release the left click and it'll tune to the surface. So it looks like it's tuned. I mean, it was already tuned, so I don't notice much of a difference. But before I tuned it, before I tuned and when I tuned for the first time, I could notice definitely a slight difference. So the last feature would be the heat map. All it is when you turn it on, and if you just go play a game or do whatever, it'll record how many times you press each button and which ones you press the most. And that's about it. It's not a very advanced thing. It's a pretty cool feature. I have never used it myself. I have not found a use for it, but yeah, that's about it for the software. So if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments. And as always, please like, comment. Again, comment on anything. It doesn't have to be a question. And most importantly, subscribe. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.